All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Stability and Opportunity Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Zimmerman, here with another fantastic guest, Mr. Mike LaFido, who's going to talk today about the luxury market, his amazing history as a real estate agent, and of course, what we always try to get into during all of our shows, knowing what to say, knowing what to do to create stability and opportunity in your heart, in your mind, in your business, in your bank account, with your family, friends, and followers. And so, regardless of whether you use the telephone to prospect or you're using the internet or you're using, well, a lot of people talk about these days Zoom calls and live broadcasting with such things as Facebook. This is going to give you.
I can't hear anybody.
This is going to give you a whole bunch of ways to learn how to.
No.
How to get what you need out of today's opportunity in business. And so while we wait for Mike to connect and patch in, I'd like just to say if this is a place some friends hang out for a little bit, this is your place to come to every day. 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time.
His image, there's a black screen and the circle just going round and round.
So raise your hand right now if you're in a luxury market.
No problem.
Raise your hand right now if you'd like to get into the luxury market, because Mike's having a little bit of technical difficulty. We're waiting for him to show up. And so you and I get to hang out here for a couple minutes right now as he boots back into the meeting. And so with Ava, hey Ava, what's up? Amanda, what's going on? How's your day going right now? What would you like to learn today from Mike? What comes to mind when you hear luxury listing specialist? Let's start queuing up some questions or thoughts, some ideas that could help you in your business. All right. Hey, all right. Ataback. Wow. Okay. Another person has joined us. Thanks, Mike. I was just queuing up the audience right now to get some questions ready for you. They don't know you as well as I do, but I've had an opportunity to meet you on a number of different occasions in real life, something that, well, we're going to wait a little while longer to do again. But you have an impressive record, impressive history as a real estate agent. You've made leaps and bounds from where you started. We met maybe 3 to 5 years ago working with the Kinder Reese folks, NAEA. And so why don't you catch us up a little bit on how you got into the business, where you're at now, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so thanks again for the opportunity. Michael LaFido out of the Chicagoland market. I've been a licensed real estate agent since 2000, and I also run a luxury consulting company, luxury designation called Luxury Listing Specialist. As an agent, I have a small team. I think currently have 29 or 30 listings, around 45 to 50 million in listing volume. But fast forward, 5-7 years ago, we weren't doing as many high-end and luxury properties. So that's really our focus is the upper end. Although we'll work with any clients, right? So we have $103,000 vacant lot that we just put under contract, and so we'll work with anybody. But kind of our bread and butter, what we're known for, is the high-end or difficult properties.
Oh, difficult properties. Tell me about, what does that mean?
Well, difficult properties many times are your upper end, right? Your upper 10, 15%. In markets, that's considered a buyer's market. Sometimes there's years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years plus of inventory. For the Chicagoland market, it's at that 1.5 million and above, but really 2 million and above is considered multiple years of inventory. But you can have a difficult property that's an average price property for your market, but maybe it's decorated in such a way that your pool of buyers is much smaller because the owner's specific taste. I was selling a home recently that had over 100 taxidermist animals throughout the house. So that's what I would consider a difficult property.
A unique opportunity for the right buyer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fun. I like to always talk to our audience, Mike, and so it's not just you and me right now. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of agents watching this and in the replay. And so I always invite them to join in our conversation.
Please.
And so when they have questions, they pop in there. We'll take little breaks along the way to answer them. It's a great way to build a community, build a tribe, and pay it forward, especially during these times of uncertainty. And so I just like to let everybody know, including you, Mike, that this is kind of a huddle up for a lot of agents. And so maybe they're lonely or busy or distracted, or disconnected. And so this is a place where a lot of people come to get that recharge, that that refuel. And so if that's one of you guys out there listening to this, just say hi, ask your questions, and we're here to help support and guide you guys through whatever questions you guys need and have. And so one of the next things I'd like to talk about is defining the luxury market a little bit more clearly. Every market is different. And so if you could help give agents maybe a sense of direction towards what is luxury for them.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. And we get asked that a lot. So as I mentioned, I'm the founder of the Luxury Listing Specialist designation. We have a podcast. I've written a lot of books and that sort of thing. And some brands define luxury as $1 million and above. Some brands talk about top 10% in their market. Well, most real estate agents are terrible at math and they don't know how to figure out the top 10%. We've developed, I think, a pretty accurate but simple formula for defining high-end and luxury properties. So I tell agents that they really need to understand their numbers at their given market. So the very baseline, they need to know what the average sale price is for their given market. From figuring out what the average sale price, and most multiple listing services, most MLSs or real estate boards provide that data, then it's pretty easy to determine how you define luxury. So for luxury, we define a luxury home price as a price that is 3 times the average sale price for your given market. So if your given market, the average sale price, keep it real simple, is $150,000, well, luxury would be $450 and above. If it's $300,000, then $900 and above. $100,000, $300 and above. So 3 times the average sale price is how we define luxury home prices for any given market. And the notch below luxury is what we call high-end homes. And we define high-end homes as homes that are 2 times the average sale price. So I was doing a training with a gentleman in Kokomo, Indiana recently, where the average sale price was $80,000. And we had an agent who afterwards said, "I'm so glad I came to your training. We don't have $1 million plus properties here. And I was hesitant to attend because I thought you were going to be talking about, $1 million plus properties. But based on your formula, Michael, we certainly have a lot of $250,000 and $300,000 homes."
That's great. And don't be bashful. Part of today's show is about giving agents resources, books, and links. We're not here to pitch anything, but as we move forward, I would like to give agents who are interested in learning more, and they'll ask and chat in what things they're most interested in. But yeah, we could probably drop some links later on if there were questions around that or the name of the book and stuff. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm self-promoting. We just want to get resources.
We have plenty of great free resources out there. I'm a big believer of leading with the giving hand. Just like an agent, when you go on a listing appointment, you want to leave that listing appointment where that seller saying, "Man, that agent was different. They brought so much value," where it's almost a no-brainer that you're the right hire. But many agents have a scarcity mindset, and so they might not give some tips and some resources and some suggestions, and they'll hold those back until they get hired. I'm the exact opposite. I lay it all on the table. I want you to be so blown away. And if you're not, sometimes they'll call 6 months or a year later. I just got a listing a week and a half ago, $619,000 in my market. That's a high-end home because our average sale price is around $300,000. So that's a high-end home in my market. And they interviewed me. I made such a great impression that they didn't hire me. However, they hired me the second time around. And that was the point of the story, is most agents don't get a second opportunity. If they don't hire you the first time, they won't come around. But they said, "Hey, we made a mistake."
So part of the flow of the show typically goes opportunity or stability. We kind of find one of those two to start with. And so we've really started to lean into the opportunity side of this, which is, well, how do you get into the luxury market? What is the luxury market? What are the things you then say and do inside of the luxury market? And before getting there, I'd really like to spend a little bit of time on the stability side of the equation, where a lot of agents, stability means psychological stability, means good routines, good practices, behaviors, maybe even hygiene. So if you could illuminate for us both maybe what works for you best as what you've built your foundation of stability on, and if you want to speak to other agents who look up to, listen to you, and are coached by you.
Yeah, so first off, you brought up hygiene, so I got to share with you a humorous but yet quote that I find to be pretty true. Zig Ziglar once said, "People often say motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily." So again, especially during the COVID-19 time we're in, where we, maybe you have extrovert agents that naturally feed off other people's energy, and like going to the office, like going to trainings, you're going to have some agents that naturally are we're in an unprecedented time. So getting back to your original question, I do think you have to really build on your mindset. So what are you reading? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you feeding your brain? Your brain is like a muscle. Garbage in, garbage. Most people say garbage out. I believe garbage in, garbage stays. So if you're feeding your brain with negative and the news and 2020 elections and COVID-19 and recession, you're going to start to believe that. Vince Lombardi says confidence is contagious, so is lack thereof it. So again, what are you feeding your brain? It's a baseline. It's a foundation to be a successful agent, successful entrepreneur, successful fill in the blank. Your mindset, your attitude.
Where do you go? What do you listen to? What do you recommend to help agents shift, adapt?
Yep. Pivot, right? These are all terms that you're hearing today. Pivot, adapt, shift, because we are in unprecedented times. So for me, it's a little bit, I played college sports, college football, and I've run 11 marathons, and I have a sports mentality. And so in sports, if you play baseball and you strike out 4 times in a row, that fifth at bat, you have to say, I'm going to get a hit. I'm going to get a hit. I'm going to get a hit. My 10-year-old and 9-year-old son wrestled this year. At best, they were average, but I was proud of them because they get pinned and then they have to get ready for the next mat, and we're working on their mental toughness. So, your mental toughness is huge. So I find my inspiration from other stories, from other agents, from outside of real estate, spiritual. I mean, we just saw this amazing movie on Sunday night, and so amazing. I don't even remember the title of it because my wife ordered it through, Netflix. But it was basically a story on how this young gal had from Texas developed some disease in her stomach, and she saw all these specialists, and they pretty much couldn't cure her. And anyways, she fell and she got better, and she talked about how there's miracles around us every day. Start seeing miracles. So it's really about seeing the positive side of things. But what are you reading? Okay, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. One of my mentors, Dan Kennedy, said people have big libraries, poor people have big TVs. So when you're seeing all this stuff about COVID-19 and hey, I've run out of movies to watch on Netflix, I've run out of this. I mean, we've watched family movies. I'm not going to say we haven't. We do that at nighttime, but during the day, I'm not, watching movies, sitting around. I'm getting better. Iron sharpens iron.
I love that quote. The big TV thing. It always made me think that's true, right? Go to Best Buy and don't buy the biggest TV.
I say you can have a big library and big TV, but most people would rather have a big TV.
Just a little tangent. We've discovered the projector as opposed to the television. It helps modify the room a little bit more, so that way you just don't have this big, huge, blocky thing on the wall. You just turn it off. And anyways, if anybody wants to talk to me about projectors, I've done a lot of research. I could help you find the best one between about $150 and $1,000 because I bought them all, tried them all. But moving back to the mindset thing.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. Who helps you sharpen?
So I've had various coaches throughout. So I do public speaking, right? So I did 34 live trainings this year. Vast majority of my time is on the consulting side. So I speak across the country. We just launched Keller Williams Mexico's luxury division. We were in Mazatlan in March, and we certified 52 agents with our course and our Lux designation. And I was in Canada in February. So I go across the country, and so I'm inspired by other agents. I don't have a scarcity mindset, so I can learn from boutiques or from large franchises. We just launched our own series that literally started up because of this COVID-19, and it's called Luxury Lunch and Learn. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm interviewing top leading authorities in the luxury space, and they're sharing best practice. So I believe that the teacher learns best. And so I'm learning from others. I'm taking the best of the best, molding it, adapting, and implementing and teaching others. So I get inspired by people in the industry, but I'll be honest with you, some of my best ideas also come outside of the industry.
Mm.
So we're talking, obviously with REDX. So I'm a huge direct mail guy, but I've gotten away from it. So right now my business has all been by referrals. Haven't done any lead gen and prospecting in a while, but we're about to turn that off and turn that on. I've been talking, of course, to Curtis and REDX because I'm a big proponent in print mail. So, when there's a home that comes off the market at 2:30, by dinner time, they've gotten 30 prospecting calls, especially if there's a bold class that was recently in the area. And I'm a big believer that I'd rather be one of 5 to 10 mailers versus one of 50 phone calls.
Let's get into that tactic right now. I think that's a hot topic right now, is that most agents in the lockdown zones across the country are not calling and not knowing what to say, one of the two. And by the way, we have a script ebook we're working on right now that we're going to be giving away to everybody who's on the email list for the show. But going back to other opportunities to get the message across the medium, I always talk about there's message and there's medium, and scripts are just malleable to the medium. So let's understand and let's talk to those people right now who, for them, calling isn't an option. And let's talk about the sequence, the lead type, and the message that you put on these postcards. Who are you sending them to, and what are they saying?
Yeah, so again, we're to re-implement this, but that's basically that's how we broke into luxury. I think it's the lowest hanging fruit. Is you have two forms of marketing. You have warm marketing, that's your database, your sphere, people that know you, like you, trust you, and then the exact opposite of warm marketing is cold marketing, prospecting, lead generation, open houses, farming a neighborhood, door knocking, working by owners, working cancels. And we did a multi-approach. So we did postcards, but we also did, direct mail. So hand addressed envelope, live stamp. They open it up, and we would have good copywriting, good good marketing piece, good visuals, powerful headline, good bullet points, a call to action, some type of value there, whether it be a free report or driving them to a website, or they could text, whatever it might be. And then you need to have social proof, right? Human beings are skeptical by nature with so much fake news out there. And so, before the internet, before you can get all this data, you could say, hey, we're number one in this county, number one here. Now we're more transparent. So, if you have had successes, leverage those. If you haven't had successes, see if you can leverage other successes from agents or team members in your office.
Yeah, those are great starting points for agents who are I would say, looking to get into the luxury market. How do you choose what area to mail, and what's your first postcard usually say? Or what's it going to say, since you're getting back into it?
Yeah. So first off, my philosophy in real estate, I'm a licensed agent in Illinois. I have car, will travel. I used to coach wrestling, and there was a referee once that gave out his business card to our head coach, said, hey, if you ever need, a referee, and on it says, have whistle, will travel. In other words, I'll bring my whistle and I'll ref a wrestling meet. My point is, I'm selling a winery that's 2.5 hours outside of Chicago. I didn't even know we had wineries in Illinois. It was a referral from an agent in Florida. So getting back to your original question, I would scrub data as far as homes that came off the market that in a certain price point, and I wouldn't just necessarily look in a certain community or town. I would look multiple towns, because those homes are better selling towns, and I would go through the original scrub. I'd get a big list called 100 homes that meet a criteria, and then I would go through those and click through each one, and I would hand select the ones that I felt like I could totally make a huge impact and reposition the homes immediately more effectively. Perhaps the previous agent's photos were terrible, or maybe they showed too much of the home. Maybe the description was incomplete, or all the above. Those are all some things that I would do.
Yeah, that's a great start. the next step would then be to send them a postcard, right?
The next step would be a postcard or you know, an envelope, right, with a letter in there. And I like the benefit of a postcard is no one is guaranteed that they'll open the envelope, right? Many people open up their mail above the garbage can. In other words, they're going through it, not even opening envelope. But as I mentioned earlier, hand addressed and a real stamp versus the postage meter and bulk mail or everyday direct mail, so to speak, it's more personalized, and you're going to get a huge, response and a open rate. But just because they open it or just because they read it doesn't mean anything. But at least you have the opportunity versus them not reading it. So the benefit of a postcard is you have a higher probability of them at least looking at it and reading it. But I'm probably not going to go with postcards. I like the envelope and nice hand addressed, and then you have a nice letter. You talk about who you are and basically ask them, hey, you notice your home was on the market. Are you still interested in selling? If so, I'd love the opportunity. Not all agents are created equal, and then you have a couple other flyers within that packet, some social proof, right? Case studies or testimonials, and maybe your 7 reasons to hire you, and then drive them to some kind of landing page or that's informational, not just your website, a landing page that specifically is talking to them. Okay, talking to them. If you're watching this video and you're on this page, it's because your home has been on the market before, and perhaps you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You're sick of excuses. You're sick of only hearing from your agent when they want to lower the price. If that sounds like your previous situation, well, I hear you, and I'm here to help. Here's what we do, and then boom, 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 and there you got it.
Because you're a Dan Kennedy fan, I know you've got a swipe file of at least 1,000 things somewhere that you've modeled and borrowed, adapted, and tried and trued. Is there a place that agents watching this right now who don't have the luxury of the education that you've acquired, that they can go and look and listen, download, and see? Let's call it steal, because that's one of those favorite things. Anything anybody can steal from you right now?
Swipe and deploy.
Swipe and deploy, R&D, rip off and deploy. Any R&D that we can do for our audience right now?
Yeah, so specifically for canceled, we are building a $1 million mailer product, so to speak. So they can just shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. We do work with people one-on-one where we provide our best mailers and strategize around that. But as far as just great free resources, a couple things. I'll have, first off, our podcast. So we have a podcast. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on Stitcher. It's called Luxury Listing Specialist. We've released, I think, our 86th episode last week. It's been around for nearly 2.5 years, so that's been great. We also have our blog, our vlog, video blog, and they can go to Lux Redefined, and that's LUXE Redefined with a D at the end, REDIFINED, Lux Redefined. And we also have a free Facebook group. You can go to Facebook and look up Luxury Listing Specialist, and we release some great free content there.
And so for everybody who's scrambling to write those things down, there's a team behind the scenes right now. What up, Haley? What up, Andrew? What up, Tony? What up, everybody? Who probably can pop some of those links into the chat right now. And then if you're watching this on the REDX page, I'm sure there'll be part of the links at the bottom in description in the video, especially on YouTube. You caught my attention a couple of seconds ago with how you were going through the process of picking, scrubbing, identifying, and mailing the postcards. We have a balance of audience right now, or people watching and listening who are both customers and just anybody who's tuning into REDX right now to learn and get free ideas and content. And so for the customers who use our GeoLeads product, we have a feature, I think, called Mail Merge inside of there that will allow them to drop pins, get addresses, do that type of search. I want to illuminate the opportunity right now for the agents who have that product, how you're going to use it and deploy it, so that way you guys can fire up your let's just say postcard mailing process. And so GeoLeads and how your team plans on using it. Michael, can you?
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking audience members.
Yeah, no. I was letting you know there's part of our audience.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
who's
Yeah, so geo leads, that's a perfect example. Like if you know of a specific neighborhood or zip code where, the average sale price is much higher, right? That would be someone that I would target if I'm looking to increase my average sale price during and post COVID-19, would be targeting specific neighborhoods, specific zip codes, and that product sounds like it just does just that. So that's low hanging fruit. And so if you're looking for cancel and expireds around particular areas, that sounds like it's a no brainer.
Yeah, because you were mentioning before how you're going to start firing up REDX, and so I made the assumption that you had already been in there and knew that you were going to be using GeoLeads, and so I took the liberty to
Yeah,
explain.
we will be.
You will be.
We will be, absolutely. So yeah, we're literally just finalizing all our ad copies and that sort of thing. We'll send it to the printer. You're probably looking at the first week of May, second week of May before we're off the ground running, which is perfect timing. I have part of the reason I've gone away from the prospecting is the key is you got to have agents that are hungry, that want to convert, that want to go on some of these appointments, that want to pick up the phone. And I have some great team members, but that's a special kind of skill set to do that. And I have a new agent on my team that's been spending $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on online leads before he joined our team, and I think he'd be perfect at that. So that's what we're doing. By the way, I did send via email. Andrew, you might have got it, but I sent an email with a bunch of links. If it would have just come through your inbox. If you want to share some of those, I didn't share online, but there's some great resources. One of them is a text feature where we give out some free bonus items. But getting back to REDX, I'm a huge believer in the REDX. Sure, there's others out there, but from an integrity standpoint, from a conversion standpoint, from the hey, we're trying to get better standpoint, you know, to you guys are the only ones in the book, to my opinion. That's why I don't even go elsewhere.
Well, that goes back to what you said before: is know, like, and trust. And so when people understand those three things, whether it's you and our company, or the agents watching this and their audiences and prospects, that when you have know, like, and trust, you've established value. When you establish value, you overcome price. And so I don't know if we're the cheapest. I don't know if we're the most expensive, but I do know we're the most valuable on those three categories, which is why people like you continue to promote us, say good things about us. Because when it comes to integrity, I work here, so I know the quality of the people that are behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Nobel Peace Prize winner in economics, Daniel Kahneman, that said people would rather do business with a person they like and trust rather than someone they don't, even if the likable person is offering a lower quality product or service at a higher price. Now, I'm not saying REDX obviously doesn't offer a lower quality product and service. That's not the case. I'm talking to the agents that are watching. So those agents that are looking to break into high-end and luxury, even if you don't have a track record. I literally did a training earlier today for EXP in the cloud, and there was an agent that's going on a $1.5 million listing appointment in Louisiana, which is the highest he's ever gone on. And I just reminded him that build rapport and be likable. And I read that quote to him saying people would rather do business with someone they like and they trust rather than somebody that might be the expert but's not likable.
Oh, Neil Gaiman, that brings a bell for me. Actually, I listened to a podcast with him and Tim Ferriss, and he's the artist guy who gave that commencement speech. I think it was a really great podcast.
Well, that might be another gentleman. This one is Daniel Kahneman. He wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, but he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner. He's a psychologist.
Okay, so we're talking about two different people, but yeah. I think the message is still the same. And actually, the point you just brought up goes up to Amanda Smith. Hey, Amanda, welcome back. Good to see you again. Every single day she shows up for these shows. It's fantastic. I love seeing her name pop up here.
That's
and
awesome.
She actually has a question for you that's tied directly to this: is how do you transition into the luxury market as a newer agent?
a great question. Be a student of the game, right? So always be learning what you're doing. Sounds like she's on these trainings, which is half, 2/3 of the battle. Showing up at conferences during this slower time period. Be a student. Grow your knowledge. When you grow your knowledge, your confidence will grow. When you're more confident, you'll do some prospecting, some lead gen around these high end and luxury properties. So that'd be the first thing. So that's your foundation, your mindset. Okay, be careful how you talk to yourself because you are listening. The second part would be the prospecting. How are you going to do some lead generations on a free budget, the most powerful word in marketing? You can go to, once the shelter in place is removed, you can go to some broker open houses, the ones during the week where they bring in some food and that kind of stuff. You can go to some broker opens in those upper end price points, attend some of those properties, look at them firsthand, start to feel comfortable walking in them, looking at them. You might not memorize the crown molding or what kind of woodwork or what are the appliances. That's okay, but start to feel comfortable. And then eventually you'll ask those listing agents if you wouldn't mind posting. Do you have a single property website, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer's or listing agent? Would you mind if I shot a video and I tagged the website and gave credit to you? And that's one of the things that a top Compass agent in Miami did. He shared it on one of my podcasts. That's how he broke into luxury. He attended weekly broker opens and shot live videos at him. Got the listing agent to okay it ahead of time, and people in their feed. I mean, people are, I've been told that people pre-Corona-19, they scroll up on their phone the equivalency of the height of the Statue of Liberty every day, literally, because people are just going through their feed. My point is, people aren't even going to necessarily listen if you're at somebody else's broker open, but they see you at a big home and they start to realize, oh, I didn't realize you were selling high end and upper. They don't even listen. Most people don't even read or listen. But so don't ever mislead. Give credit to the listing. But again, people are going to start to associate you with high end and luxury. The other thing you can do is you can work other people's open houses in your office that have upper end properties, and then you start some buyers, and then you'll snowball, and then you could do some canceled and expired mailers as well.
Those are some great starting points, and like you said, perception is reality. Is that if people aren't listening and people aren't reading, but they are seeing, it's kind of back to some of the things that I learned from Mike and Jay and Kinder Reese and positioning and celebrity branding. And yeah, Ferraris and Lamborghinis are probably not for everybody to take pictures next to, and how you do it should be tactful. But the association, just through visual representation, is really, I think, the principle that showed up there. Is the more that you can, in a snapshot or ad, be seen with, next to, or including these things associated with luxury, are one of the ways for the perception to turn into reality.
Yeah, absolutely. A picture's worth 1,000 words. The house that's behind me on my backdrop was that home I currently represent. It's on the market for $9.5 million. It was that main character's house on the TV show on Fox called Empire. No, it wasn't Jesse Smollett. Unfortunately, he brought that show into the news the last couple of years. But this was Terrence Howard's. But I share that with you, and it was, by the way, it was Architectural Digest Most Beautiful Home for Sale. This home was on the market. It wasn't a canceled and expired, but this home was on the market, and the owner called me, and I happen to be the third agent. There's an old adage in real estate: you want to be the firstborn, the second wife, and the third real estate agent. So I'm the third real estate agent on this property, and he point blank asked me, how many luxury homes have you sold in this town, or how many homes have you sold in this price point? And always be transparent. But I flat out told him, I said, you've hired 2 local agents previously. What has that got you? So if you're looking to hire someone that's aggressive, thinks outside the box, is hungry, is willing to try new things, is well connected, I'm the right guy. If you want to do some of the same old things as the same old traditional agents, I'm not the right guy. Oh, by the way, Einstein defines that as insanity, and so that's kind of my message to her, and I hope I answered her question.
Yeah, we're going to move on. I just want to touch base with the audience real quick and just say, hey, Amanda, did that get your question answered? If not, continue to keep asking. And then hello to everybody again, Robert, Patricia, Eva, Ataback, all the people who've joined us. And I've got a question for you while we wait for the audience to respond. Is what was the day you made it? What was the breakthrough, if you could look back at this was my transition from being a real estate agent to a luxury real estate agent?
What was the one thing that maybe made the difference? Is that what you're saying?
That's another way to say it.
Okay, so for me, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the benefits of selling upper end homes, right? I mean, you work smarter, not harder. You can sell the same amount of homes and make a ton more money. And so for me, my story was a little bit different, but it might be one that resonates with everybody. So I physically switched offices from an office I was at to an office about 30 minutes away that was in a luxury town. Now, I didn't know hardly anybody there. I didn't have any sales record. I don't know if I ever even sold a home in that town. That town was called Hinsdale, Illinois. And so it's basically, I went where the money was. And so I hung my license there. Now, for me, I did some coaching and some office trainings there. So that's why I did. But if I had to do it all over again, that's what I'd recommend to somebody, is especially in this distant learning, Zoom training meeting that we're in, the name or the zip code on your business card could open some doors for you, or it could hamper some door, and close some doors for you. So by being associated with an office that has high-end and luxury track record, or from that community, you might get some respect.
I think that's a good starter tip, again, for people like Amanda and Patricia and the other people who are looking to break into luxury. One thing that came to mind for me, and I wonder if the rest of the audience is thinking this as well, is that you mentioned you had recently taken a listing or sold a listing of luxury proportions. And so how are you doing virtual open houses or virtual tours? How are you handling the whole virtual side of things right now? Because part of the show is how are we adapting what we previously did to work in today's environment?
Well, I think having a huge online presence is important, right? So I'm a believer, especially for high-end, unique, or difficult properties, having amazing videos. Okay, I have videos for these properties. I have one video out there with over 200,000 views. So having some amazing property videos. As you mentioned, I have brought in the cars and the actors and the actresses and that kind of stuff. So having amazing videos is important. Having an online presence as both an agent and your properties. So I'm a big believer in single property websites. On those single property websites, having amazing photos, having video, and in some cases doing the virtual tours, like the Matterports. I use that term, Matterport. I don't use Matterport. I use another company. But my point is, for the 5,000 square foot plus properties, or 4,000 or 3, fill in the blank, I do both. Okay, I do like video over the 3D tours, but I do both. So that's something that you should have had in place. But if you don't have in place, and when the dust settles and you can go around and life hopefully goes back to normal, that's something you should do. The other thing is, you mentioned virtual open houses. There's some great courses out there. There's some great free groups out there that are teaching best practices from virtual open houses. You could do a virtual open house on somebody else's listing in your office, as long as that listing agent gives you the green light. And what's in it for them is you're getting more eyeball traffic, more hopefully qualified traffic that will lead to more showings down the road. What's in it for you is you are hopefully positioning yourself and attracting clients, buyers, and sellers. So that would be an example of a win-win relationship.
I have some people who would be interested in that group that you just mentioned that are teaching people how to do virtual open houses. Could you share that group or name or link with us?
Yeah, so there's a free group out there called Lab Coat Agents. They have over 118,000 real estate agents in the group. And they did a training recently with Catherine Rain, Rein, and she's out of the Miami Coral Gables area, and she's doing a great job with these virtual open houses. And they screen share and they walk through how you set it up.
That's great. We'll probably reach out to her or someone in that group to learn more, and so that's fantastic.
Yeah. I'd be glad to help out any way I can, make a connection there.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you. Could you also walk us through how you're taking listings, right? Are you actually knocking on the door, opening up, coming in with a mask? Some agents are doing that, gloves and all that treatment. Or how are you actually taking the listing?
Yeah, so I've taken 3 listings in the last 2.5 weeks. One high-end one luxury, one average price point. And the average price point was a girl I went to high school with's mom. However, mom was leaning on a girlfriend of hers. So, the owners call her 70 years old, and she was going to hire an agent that's, close to her age. And that agent had brought through a buyer before she even went on the market. But I met with her. I shared what we do different. We did drone photos. We did the 3D tour. And she ended up, leaning on from the one gal, her girlfriend, and hiring me. So that's one example. That was a internal referral. So again, I wasn't prospecting. The $625,000 listing, they interviewed me last summer, about a year ago, and they ended up going with the other agent that sells more in that town than anybody else. And they came back to me because I made a good impression. So we just listed that about a week ago, and I put on a $919,000 listing. They found me online. I've sold some homes in the area, and again, went on that appointment. They were interviewing several agents. I know I wasn't the cheapest, but they saw the value. I didn't wear a mask and everything. We were very careful. My photographer wore a mask, yeah, so we're encouraging owners to put their home on the market now, even though showings are way down. Online activity is. Think about it. We're basically like a dating app. Realtor.com is, and my website, and people are either swiping left or swiping right. They either like or they don't like, and people have more time to search online now for homes than they do when life goes back to crazy, so to speak. So I think the homeowners that put their home on the market with agent that's a great marketer with great photos, amazing descriptions, are going to hit the ground running when the shelter in place is removed.
That was illuminating. One of the things that comes to mind for me to ask you is, you have brought to the attention of some invisible metrics, right? Normally we look at traffic, buyers traffic, through showings as the main KPI, key performance indicator, for those who don't know that. But then if we were to probably look at the invisible world right now and could track the data behind online showings, I think you probably would see an increase in the number of people looking at properties online. And so there might be the false perceptions showings are down, but if we look at online activity, I'd love to see, and I feel like maybe you're closer to this than anybody, is that that's actually gone up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you were to ask me, hey, Mike, I'm thinking about putting my home on the market, but I've been told, showings are down, there's not much selling. I'm thinking about waiting, or I'm going to put it off a year or whatever. My answer would be, if we put your home on the market now, we have a 50% chance of selling. If we wait, you have a 0% chance. So again, I'm all about, for those buyers that are actually looking now, there's going to be less competition than there might be in June or July when shelter in place is removed. There's more properties, more distractions, more. You got a 1 in 10 chance to sell now if there's 10 comparable homes on the market versus 1 in 38 if there's 38 in July. I'd rather take my chances with 1 in 10, i.e. 10%, versus 1 in 38, i.e. whatever percent, 2%.
Yeah, I've brought this up in past episodes. It's psychological warfare right now for both the agents and the market, and the agents who have the mindset are going to win the battle. And the thing that comes to mind from that for me is that the agents who understand how to explain things in a way that gets the customers to think differently are going to be the people who understand how to get listings in this market right now. And just as a proxy to that is, we were looking at flights this morning. My girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to call her, we're so close it may as well be, that they were expensive. The fly right now is not cheap. You'd imagine that it's cheap. And she said to me, wow, prices were like $700 for these flights. And I said, maybe the airlines are catering to the people who actually need to fly right now. And so I feel like there's buyers in the market, and sellers could probably, agents listening to this right now could probably borrow from that concept, as you started to point out, that the people who need to buy, they're going to pay the price. And like you said, the chances of selling right now, if you don't have it on the market, are 0.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So overcoming objections is something I want to show you something that, well, first two things. I'm wearing my luxury specialist shirt, and that was one of the links I shared. We do sell some type of great swag, and it's not about, I literally make 30 cents on a shirt, but it does open opportunities. I wore this same shirt, luxury specialist, at in Boca Raton at a resort. I was at this Italian restaurant. I had three people come up and talk to me about it. It's a great conversational starter. So I'm a big believer in, luxury swag. But I created these objection handling playing cards. They're literally playing cards, like a deck of cards. And there's 52 cards in a deck. And out of the 52, there's 16, I think you call them face cards, the queens, the jacks, that kind of thing. And we put 16 common objections that agents have to overcome when it comes to luxury. Those are on the face cards, and the remaining cards, 36 cards, are motivational cards, right? So I tell, I'm going to rattle off a couple now. This is the football coach in me. So number one is shy real estate agents have skinny kids. You can't be shy in this industry. You got to step outside your comfort zone. Number two, remember in 2020, we are in an election year. Remember, both Democrats, Republicans, and for that matter, socialists and independents buy and sell high-end and luxury homes. So I tell people, keep off politics. The Last Dance, the big series ESPN just launched with Michael Jordan last Sunday night, was the first couple episodes. Somebody once asked Michael Jordan why he doesn't talk politics, and he said, guess what? Republicans buy sneakers too. He's a Democrat. He didn't want to alienate half of his Air Jordan buyers of his Nike shoes. So again, that would be some of the recommendations I would have for some agents is stay off politics. And you got to even be careful with this COVID-19. I don't want to say I'm a conspiracy theorist guy, but I do think that there's some of that. And I bite my lip not to say some of that on social media because, I want to be sensitive. My uncle's got, COVID, he's got COVID-19, and I'm not saying it's not legitimate, but so I have to bite my lip on certain things. And you have to have the discipline to do that as a top agent, luxury agent, entry level agent, whatever it might be.
I love that. One thing we're talking about doing is finding cool things like you just showed us to give away during our show and trying to figure out how the best way to do that.
We have, by the way, these are on our swag show, our swag site, right? LuxurySpecialistGear.com. We sell these. That's where you can get them. But I'm sure Curtis and we could figure out a way to get you guys some giveaways too.
Yeah, we just had that conversation last night, Curtis and I. And so if everybody watching this live, we're going to start finding cool things that we can give away. Swag, t-shirts, maybe some cool stuff, credits for our accounts. So for the people who tune in and watch live and interact, we're working on a way to bring you guys some cool stuff that'll just enhance the value of the show and the value your time as a real estate agent. I try to keep track. There's a mental list of things that as you speak, I'm trying to put checks in the box. And so one of the things that's come up during our time today, it's a theme. You started off with it. You mentioned it a couple of times, and it was the word referral and relationship business. And I think it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. I've heard it a dozen, maybe 24 times already on the episodes, but I'd like to hear your point of view based on this question, which is, why is now quite possibly the most important time to be focusing on your sphere of influence?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think there's two answers. So the first part is your current database, your current sphere of influence, bringing value, checking in on them, being authentic, non-salesy, just being there for them, right? So I've posted it several times. I've reached out to several people over the last couple of weeks saying, hey, if you have a family member, a loved one that you're not in the area and you want me to check in on them, or they're not comfortable going to the supermarket or whatever it might be, I'm here, let me know. And so being authentic, staying in communication with your current clients is important. Just checking in with them with that same kind of message, I think will you don't want to overstate it. It's very important. The other aspect of it that you talked about, referrals and that sort of thing, is Meet the Parents movie from 2000 with Robert De Niro. He talked about the circle of trust. It's very difficult to break into selling high-end and luxury homes because it's tough to penetrate the circle of trust. And so one of the things I recommend to agents is, go to where they hang out, go to where the is get in with some of these influencers. Now, again, this is post COVID-19, but my point is go to some of these networking meetings. Join a chamber of commerce, for example. That'd be one thing I would do, is I would join a chamber of commerce in a community that has the high-end listings that you want. You might drive 20 or 30 minutes, but now you get in with some business owners, because those business owners have a huge database of current and past clients, and be likable. And that would be one thing I'd recommend to people as well. That was kind of a bonus item, but I wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And there's a lot of resistance I hear from other agents about working their sphere of influence. And so from your perspective, why don't you think, what do you think about that? Why don't agents call their sphere of influence? What stops them?
That's a great question. I think organization is probably some of it. Developing systems is another. But just bring value, right? So there's a difference between a consultant and a salesperson, right? Salesperson sell homes and sell a piece of property. Consultants or expert advisors, right? They have relationships. And so in this time, you should be providing, updates and content. And if there are homes selling, talking about that, or if there are some nuances in your local market on what you need to do or what you can and can't do, don't assume everybody knows that. So if you bring value and education, you attract more opportunities.
What are some of the organizational challenges you just mentioned?
So a lot of real estate agents are more your right brain versus left brain. That's important that you understand the difference. So your left brain are your analytical types. Right? Your right brain are more your idea people. Most real estate agents in the disc personality, you got a lot of high eyes in the disc. And they're okay talking to people, but they have messy desks. They're not organized. So, going through your database, your sphere, updating it, your A list, your B list, your C list is what I'd like talking about. Your A list are your top people in your database. You need to touch them more frequently. When I say touch, communicate, email, handwritten note, drop by, gifting them differently than the B, which is the next most important list. And then the C is everybody on the list. They might just get the drip emails or you touch them less frequently.
That's great. I've got one more question before I get to that. We're running close to the end of the time, and I feel like we just got started, Mike. You just opened Pandora's box of concepts and value, but I just want to let everybody who's watching this right now, if you've gotten value out of today's show, illuminated anything in your mind, in your body, in your soul, give us some love, give us some likes, thumb up in the chats right now. Subscribe to us on YouTube, hit like. It makes a difference in our videos going out there and making a difference in the lives of other agents. And maybe even you want to share this link with your broker and have it sent to the rest of your agency and office, because I know there are agents probably in your office who would love or need to hear what we're talking about right now. So the last question I have for you is along the lines of SMS, text messaging. It's become a very popular way to communicate the message. And so if you could share with us some of the ways that you're using text and the value that you're getting from it.
Yeah. So again, give credit where credit is due. So when I speak at these national conferences, I'm going around to the vendors and I'm trying to get, I call it the principal slight edge, right? I'm always trying to bring more value, learn, get different perspectives. So this one is straight from realtor.com, and they encourage, and they showed some statistics, but when you have an online lead or an inquiry, instead of calling and emailing them, occasionally they challenge people to try to replace that once in a while with a personalized text through video. So in other words, hey, Justin, Michael LaFido, thank you so much for inquiring about 123 Elm Street. It's an amazing property. We did set up a virtual tour with it. If you'd like, I'd be glad to send the link, or if you want me to do a walkthrough and FaceTime it with you in real time, I'd be happy to. But let me know what questions you have, and we'll talk to you soon. So that's a personalized video message that you can do on your phone or through BombBomb or some other app, and your conversion will skyrocket because it's personalized. They feel like they know you, like you, and trust you. And if you want to just create a general one, you can and evergreen it. So in other words, you do it once, it's not going to be as effective. The conversion won't be as great. But if you're a busybody and you're shy and you want to do once, that's fine. That would be like, hey, it's Michael LaFido. Thank you so much for inquiring about the property. It's amazing. If you'd like more information on it or want me to even do a FaceTime, just get back to me. We'll talk to you soon. So I didn't mention you by name. I didn't mention the property address. The conversion might not be as high, but you can use that on multiple inquiries.
Agents
and you text them. You text them the link, or you text them the video. Hey, I created a quick video for you. Click here. And again, if it's a prospect, you got to build a little rapport. You can't just send a link because they might think it's a spam link, or what if I click on this and it's something I shouldn't be clicking on? So you got to build a little rapport with them to earn that right, so they click on the link.
Agents are salivating over what to say and what to do when it comes to text. And so you started to actually answer my last question related to my last question, which was do's and don'ts of texting. And so if you could highlight that a little bit more, that would be great for people to walk away with a good framework of what to say and do and not do.
Yeah. So do's and don'ts. Don't come across as salesy, right? So try to build some rapport and value as best you can. And that's why I like video. So sometimes, if you embed the video in the text, right? So, you've all gotten text messages with video. If they know who you are, perhaps, and they see your picture, they feel like, talk to it, just like I'm talking to you right now. So my energy is not real high. I'm not like this, because that might come across as cheesy. But I'm also, if I'm more of a slower, more of a left brain guy, I got to pick up the energy a little bit. But your authenticity comes through video. People want to do business with people they like and they trust and are authentic. And your conversion will skyrocket if you just be yourself.
Know, like, trust, the trifecta of business and capital and relationships and entrepreneurialism. That's kind of a slippery word to say. And
yeah, say that 3 times fast.
Entrepreneurialism. I did.
You nailed it.
I got it. Any books you recommend where they can go right now and learn about know, like, and trust? Dan Kennedy's got a ton of stuff, and so that's what comes to mind for me. If you know anything,
I have 2 books for you. The first, if you want to, and you're committed to increasing your average sale price, it's on Amazon. Luxury Listing Specialist. It's $29.99 or something like this. It's about 180 pages. It's an easy read. The second book I'd recommend is called Rehumanize Your Business. It's all about video. It's one of the co-founders of BombBomb.com. It's called Rehumanize Your Business. It's an orange book. Ethan Butte is one of the authors, and there's a co-author. Again, some really great tips, whether it be video, email, whether it be just videos on your website, whether it be videos on social media. If you are not comfortable with video, you're not alone. When I do live trainings, I'd say 80 to 90% of my audience isn't consistently putting video out there. So the vast majority aren't. So if that's you, don't worry about it. You're not alone. But the good news is there's a huge opportunity there to differentiate yourself.
Mike LaFido, high five, digital fist bump. Stick with us after the show ends. We want to chat with you, get a debrief, reconnect. And for everybody watching this live right now, we invite you to the Elite Prospectors group, the open Facebook group for real estate agents who want to learn more about prospecting, the things that we talked about today. We're going to be inviting Mike to join in there and answer any follow-up questions. We're going to post the recording there, and so you guys all can connect, make friends, build your empires, know, like, and trust each other all the way to the next episode, which tomorrow we've got Coach Verl Workman, who is
Verl.
Everybody knows
Verl. Say hi to Verl. I know Verl.
Verl is legendary, and
he lives out in Utah.
I'm surprised he's actually not going to be shooting in the office next to us here, but he's going to be doing the same thing you're doing right now, is coming in remote. As well as we've got Chris Lendell and Dan Smith up next for the next couple of days. So please get on the email list. Don't do it for me, do it for you. Every day we send out an invite to come and join these shows, so you have a place to be seen, heard, connect, rehumanize yourself with us. Come join in. Go to the redx.com/blog. Wait for the little pop-up. Put your email in there so you get the daily updates if you're not already on the list, because additionally, We're also going to be sending out all the great resources, ebook links. The script video just got produced. We got a script ebook in the works right now where we're taking every single one of the best scripts from all the last 20-something odd episodes from all the best coaches and trainers. We're shortening it up, collapsing it down into one thing that you can use so you know what to say, you know what to do during these times. And so please be on the list if you want to get that book. It's totally free. We just email you when we have new great stuff. And so if you want to stop receiving that, when you want to stop receiving great stuff, it's all in your hands. So that's the wrap for today. I'm Justin Zimmerman. I'll see you guys all next time on the Stability and Opportunity podcast tomorrow at 1:30 right here. See y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay positive.